When Angel El Titan Barrera dumped a bucket of ice water over the new guy's head, he had no clue he'd basically signed his own death warrant. The skinny dude sitting alone in the San Norberto Federal Penitentiary cafeteria wasn't just another inmate. He was the most dangerous man in that whole facility, maybe in the entire country. The clatter of silverware echoed through the stained concrete walls of San Norberto, hidden deep in the backlands of Durango, northern Mexico. The prison had a reputation: prison riots, people disappearing without a sound, you name it. Maximum security. Space for about 1,800 inmates. Cartel gunmen, disgraced ex-soldiers, and hitmen who once thought they were untouchable. That hot April afternoon, Isaac Limon walked through the main gates surrounded by a full escort. 34 years old, around 5'9", lean frame, calm eyes, baby smooth face, no scars, no tattoos, nothing that told a story. He looked too peaceful for a place like this. And that, more than ink or muscles, made people nervous. Captain Herrera, the officer in charge, a grizzled vet with a shark bite-looking scar on his jaw, checked the paperwork and frowned. Limon Isaac, 17 years, money laundering and illegal financing of criminal groups. Herrera scoffed. Money boy, huh? Kid like you's a walking target in here. Isaac just nodded, not scared, not trying to explain himself, like he'd been here before. And Herrera, who had seen every type of monster pass through these doors, couldn't quite figure this one out. In Cell Block D, power was a game of shifting alliances. Sangre Real controlled the drug flow. Águilas Negras handled weapon smuggling. Herederos del Fuego, those guys did the quiet jobs nobody talked about. Deals changed daily. Loyalty was rented, never owned. Angel El Titan Barrera ruled this block. 6'8", more than 300 pounds of cartel-built muscle, covered in Sinaloan ink, serving life without parole for a triple killing and a massacre he helped orchestrate. He didn't just terrorize new arrivals for kicks. It was strategy. Break them early, so they stayed broken. When Isaac stepped into the chow hall that first afternoon, the whole room seemed to hush, like everyone knew what was coming. El Titan never wasted time. Isaac grabbed his tray. Watery beans, stale rice, ground beef that wasn't fooling anybody, and a chunk of bread you could use as a weapon. He walked calmly to a corner table far from the TV area, sat down, broke his bread, and started eating like nothing around him existed. Then came those heavy footsteps, the kind that make the air feel smaller. Titan arrived with a bucket full of ice water, his twisted version of a welcome ceremony. A few inmates snickered, waiting to see the show. "Hey, rookie," Angel growled behind him. "You're in my seat." Isaac looked up slowly, still chewing, swallowed, took a sip of water from his cup, and replied in the softest, most relaxed voice, "I don't see your name on it." A few guys snorted, others froze. That sentence alone could get someone buried in here. Titan's eyes darkened. Without another word, he flipped that entire bucket of ice water over Isaac's head. Water soaked his beige uniform, dripping all the way to the floor. Isaac didn't flinch, didn't wipe his face, didn't even blink differently. He just stared straight at the giant, eyes calm, like the whole thing was beneath his notice. And for the tiniest fraction of a second, Titan hesitated. Something about the lack of fear, the total control, felt wrong. "Stand up, now." The threat in his voice was unmistakable. Isaac carefully placed his fork on the tray, brushed water off his face with the back of his hand, and, to everyone's shock, gave a small smile. Not a taunt, not fear, a calculated smile, a smile of someone holding a secret. "All right, let's talk." Up in the watchtower, guards leaned forward. Captain Herrera stared at the camera feed. His gut told him something wasn't adding up, because the truth about Isaac Limon didn't fit on any sheet of paper. Behind the official system there existed a covert structure called La Alianza de Yad, a silent pact between the elite of several major organizations. No tattoos, no hand signals, no bragging. Its members blended in, prison guards, directors, even prosecutors and judges. They pulled strings quietly. Isaac wasn't just a numbers guy. He built the financial skeleton of that entire alliance. Global laundering networks, capital flows in the shadows, covert international investments, power without lifting a finger, invisible influence that could redraw borders. His arrest wasn't a defeat. It was a move on the board. He pleaded guilty to minor charges on purpose. He needed to be inside, needed proximity, needed to seize the alliance from behind the walls. But there was a complication. Right before he turned himself in, Isaac ordered the removal of Salvador El Mono Carrasco, a snitch who fed intel to the wrong people. His absence left a power vacuum, tension everywhere, and now Isaac was walking straight into the lion's den. But here's what everyone got wrong. In that cafeteria, drenched in ice water and surrounded by men who lived by intimidation, Isaac Limon wasn't the prey. He was the hunter, disguised as a lamb. San Norberto Federal Penitentiary wasn't just a storage unit for dangerous people. It was a machine, a whole underground city, with its own rules, its own economy, its own politics, and a constant, silent war for power. The damp halls of Block D hid more than watchful eyes. Every step meant something. Every glare carried a message. Guards avoided direct clashes. Most just followed orders from above. They knew some inmates pulled more strings than the warden himself. Isaac Limon didn't waste a second. Within 2 days, he'd rearranged his yard time, cafeteria schedule, and library hours. All planned. All watched closely. He didn't talk to anyone, but he listened to everything. And quietly, the invisible chess match began. First move. He switched cells, without asking anyone. Just showed up in Wing 4. The most isolated area. That wing held the brains, hackers, ex-accountants from major groups, engineers. Almost nobody realized that was where the real power lived. The guard in charge, Sub-Lieutenant Maldonado, froze when he saw Isaac's name on the new list. A handwritten note from the warden himself authorized the transfer. No discussion, no pushback. Isaac didn't need to talk. His presence alone rearranged the air. Inside the new cell, he built a system. Computers were banned, but notebooks were fair game. In 2 days, he had diagrams covering pages, flowcharts coded symbols, financial routes disguised as scribbles. Anyone else would see nonsense. But it was a blueprint, a new order coming to life. And on the other side of the prison, Angel El Titan Barrera felt the shift. After what happened in the cafeteria, Angel tried confronting Isaac twice. First time, Isaac's cell was mysteriously locked, off limits. Second time, one of Angel's guys, Lucho, was stopped in a hallway by 2 normally neutral inmates. No words exchanged. Lucho came back with a broken nose and cracked ribs. I slipped, he muttered, terrified to admit the truth. No one laughed. At mealtimes, no one bothered Isaac anymore. Instead, he started getting fresh fruit, hot coffee, real protein, no comments. But every set of eyes noticed. Who was protecting him? The clue came quietly. Don Esteban, an older ex-member of the Alliance serving time for weapons trafficking, was seen near Wing 4. He was respected, always in the background, never a leader. Now, he walked behind Isaac like a counselor. "You really him?" he asked one morning, voice rough like gravel. Isaac didn't answer. He simply handed him a sheet with 3 names. Esteban read them. His face went pale. He nodded. That was enough. From that day forward, Don Esteban became Isaac's spokesperson. His name traveled through the halls again, only whispered, and always with respect. Meanwhile, Sangre Real, Angel's closest allies, began to feel trapped. Cigarette routes shut down, cell phones vanished, and worst of all, a shipment that was supposed to land in Block C never arrived. 48 hours later, panic. Nobody accused Isaac outright, but everything pointed to him. His name was now a silent shadow on the walls. Outside the prison, 2 men in plain suits visited the warden. No badges. No last names. The meeting wasn't recorded. They offered one message. He's cleared. The restructuring will proceed without interference. The warden tried to speak. The older man cut him off. "You don't want to know who's above us." San Norberto, once predictable in its cycle of domination, was shifting. Angel El Titan Barrera's empire wasn't being attacked. It was being erased. Guards who once let things slide stopped looking the other way. Night deliveries suddenly stopped. Even the inmates who used to run errands for laundry, medical wing, supply runs, avoided Angel's crew. And through it all, Isaac stayed calm. The quiet library in Wing 4 became his command center. He never asked for favors. Yet everything he needed arrived anyway. Behind the scenes, Isaac was mapping every weak point. Which supplies crossed block lines without checks, who owed who inside, which guards were already under investigation. He was turning the entire facility into an algorithm. While Angel tried to bark orders louder, forced meetings, tough guy speeches in the cafeteria, his followers were already slipping away. They didn't admit it, but they felt it. There was a new gravity in the prison. One afternoon in the exercise yard, Isaac walked alone as usual. Sun beating down, inmates watching, pretending not to. 3 of Angel's guys stepped in front of him. They were known troublemakers. One of them, El Rulas, blocked the path with crossed arms. "You're messing where you shouldn't," he said. "Some of us like the way things are." Isaac studied each face calmly, like pieces on a board. "If I were you, I'd quit while you're ahead," Rulas continued. "Walk away before this gets worse." Isaac stepped forward, not aggressive, just certain. "I'm not here for a throne," he said. "I'm here because the system is broken, and that is going to change." The silence wasn't fear, it was uncertainty. The 3 men backed away, confused. Isaac didn't need to threaten. He spoke like someone who had already won. That night, Angel received a package. No guard stopped it. Inside, one folded paper with a code. 743B. He knew the reference. The cell where 2 inmates once planned a rebellion. They vanished afterward. No bodies ever found. The cell sealed. Angel rushed there. Guards didn't dare stop him. Inside, the door open. Light on. A message carved into the wall. "You're on the board, but you're not a player." He left without a word. Upstairs, the warden's phone rang. Short call. Cold voice. "Do not interfere." Inside the concrete walls, Isaac made his first external move. He summoned 3 men, not fighters, not killers, a retired accountant, a former statistics professor, and a mechanic. Invisible soldiers, the kind who make revolutions last. Isaac handed each one a slip of paper. No names, just tasks. One note read, "Shift influence, not force." In a world where power was measured by violence, Isaac broke the rules, and people followed anyway. Rumors grew. He's not a prisoner. He's a messenger. He's just here to flip the world again. Angel's chest tightened with every whisper. His allies met without him. His title no longer guaranteed obedience. Then it happened. For the first time in years, Angel wasn't called to the block leader council, but Isaac was. He didn't demand it. He didn't celebrate. He just walked in. And every man in that room stood. Isaac didn't take the center chair. Not yet. He didn't need to. Everyone could already see who truly owned the room. With the balance of power slowly tilting inside San Norberto, the entire prison began to feel different. Quieter, heavier, like the tense air right before a storm breaks. Isaac Limon was now officially seated at the inmates' leadership council. But unlike the others, he didn't chase attention or deliver loud speeches. He listened. He observed. And when he did speak, a single question from him could flip the outcome of a whole decision. Meanwhile, Angel Barrera, stripped of his former dominance, was desperate to understand what the hell went wrong. He tried reclaiming territory inside the blocks, but every move he made just sank him deeper, like quicksand tightening around his legs. Informants vanished. Some were suddenly transferred to other wings. Others just stopped talking to him altogether. At the same time, a new subplot began creeping through the prison. The money game. Bribery and contraband had always been the bloodline of inmate life. But now, the flow was shifting. Items as simple as cigarettes, coffee, toilet paper, once funneled exclusively through Angel's crew, were now being handled by inmates from the tech wing. Prices changed, supplies stabilized. For the first time in years, the economy wasn't driven by threats or impossible debts, but by trust. Trust in Isaac. And then there was Maldonado, the low-key guard who knew just enough about Isaac to stay careful. Without ever being told, he started managing access between wings with a sharper eye. Not because Isaac ordered him to, because he understood something bigger was moving. It was Maldonado who arranged Isaac's first meeting with Raul Vega, a former military officer locked up for selling intel. Few realized Vega still had serious connections outside the walls. Their conversation lasted 8 minutes. The effects showed the next day. 2 legal appeals for Isaac's future allies suddenly got pushed through faster than anyone expected. No lawyer took credit. But the most dangerous thread came from the outside. Someone was watching Isaac, testing him. Coded notes moved around the facility, hidden in library books, slipped during visitations. Isaac read each one calmly, scribbled a single-line reply, and the messages vanished. The warning behind them was simple. You have autonomy, but we're watching. Isaac didn't back down. Instead, he applied even more pressure. Quietly. He had Don Esteban reorganize key inmates' schedules, especially those with technical skills. His trusted operators began popping up in the infirmary, the library, maintenance corridors, places where whispers traveled without witnesses. From those shadows, Isaac launched his boldest idea yet. A credit system, favors as currency, debts written on tiny slips of paper, tracked by his people. San Norberto's economy was being modernized. No tech required, just structure and absolute control. Meanwhile, Angel made a desperate attempt to rebuild. He approached a minor group in Block C, trying to negotiate an alliance. The new leader shut him down with one line. If you really had something to offer, you wouldn't be here begging. A silent hit. Brutal. Final. Then the outside pressure began. One senior guard quietly removed. A deputy warden suddenly reassigned. Moves too fast, too quiet to be coincidence. Results were expected. And soon. Inside his cell, Isaac kept working. He disguised intel into booknotes, charted inmate debts and supply routes, connecting every wing like gears inside a machine. He didn't want to be the king. He wanted to build a system where no king could rule without him. From the outside, San Norberto looked stable. Inside, the balance was cracked glass, one touch from shattering. That touch arrived. Early June, a new inmate arrived from Matamoros prison near the U.S. border. Ivan Cordero, El Coleccionista, the collector, not of objects, of secrets. 42. Sharp eyes, a permanent smirk, as if he always knew more than you. Blackmail, cyber extortion, cartel ties. No official faction inside San Norberto, but definitely not a stranger. The moment he stepped in, 3 inmates changed behavior. 2 avoided the library, another begged to switch cells. Isaac noticed. On day 2 in the cafeteria, Ivan walked up and sat across from Isaac. No threat, no show of dominance, just a laid-back greeting. You've been off the board a long time, Limon, he said low. But you forgot the game keeps going, even without a king. Isaac took a sip of water, eyes locked. No words. Ivan smiled, left a small folded note on the table, walked away. Later, inside his cell, Isaac unfolded it. A list of names, most familiar, prison contacts, lawyers, middlemen. But one name hit like a punch. Herrera, the captain. The same man who welcomed him on day 1. The same man quietly helping him ever since. Meaning, the leak was inside the alliance. That same night, Herrera was placed on medical leave. Official story, stress. Isaac knew better. He was removed, not by the system, by someone higher in the alliance chain. The reorganization mission wasn't just challenged, it had been hijacked. The next morning, Isaac didn't leave his cell. Inmates noticed. Guards noticed. Don Esteban was blocked from accessing the tech wing. Isolation. A clear message. But Isaac didn't need movement to operate. Hours later, the kitchen suffered a plumbing issue. 3 inmates from Block C were pulled to assist. They returned with new instructions, keywords, targets. Isaac had activated a contingency plan, a protocol for when someone tried to corner him. Then came the real warning. On the 3rd day after Cordero arrived, Don Esteban slipped Isaac a note hidden inside a beat-up dictionary. A phone number. 3 initials. ACH. Isaac froze. ACH wasn't a person. It was a high-level contact, the kind of player who didn't just fund the alliance. They directed it. If their name was in play, it meant the reins had been pulled away. Maybe Isaac wasn't in charge of this mission anymore. Maybe he never truly was. That night, blackout. 2 wings went dark for 11 minutes. Ivan Cordero was seen whispering to 2 security guards in the shadows. The next morning, Isaac was called to the visitation room. No visit scheduled. Just an envelope. Inside, 1 typed line. You may be the architect, Isaac, but someone always designs above the architect. This wasn't a reminder, it was a declaration of war. The note left in the visitation room stayed on Isaac's cell table for hours, folded neatly into thirds. He didn't tear it apart or burn it. He left it right there in the open, a quiet reminder that the game had changed. He didn't sleep that night. Not out of fear, but because he had to reshuffle the board in real time. For the first time since stepping into San Norberto, he didn't hold all the control. That meant every move from here on out would require risk. Ivan Cordero was no longer a mystery. He was now the banner of interference, a warning that this wasn't just opposition anymore. This was an inside strike. A takeover attempt inside the very structure Isaac helped build, the Jade Alliance. The first visible blow came 2 days later. Don Esteban vanished. Official story, medical transfer due to a sudden collapse. Unofficial story, no one knew a thing. Not even the guards could say where he'd gone. Isaac understood instantly. They were cutting off his connections one by one. Still, panic wasn't in him. He quietly triggered a backup network, people no one ever connected to him. Laundry workers, kitchen runners, library clerks. They'd been prepared for weeks, not with detailed orders, but with coded behaviors, timings, steps, simple responses. The invisible counterstrike began. Ivan didn't hide either. He made himself impossible to ignore. Roaming every wing with that same sarcastic grin, chatting up anyone who'd listen. Like he owned the place. This joint was a mess, he joked loudly at lunch. But now, smells like opportunity. Eyes that once held steady respect for Isaac wavered. Doubt crept in. Some inmates saw Ivan as just another piece on the board. Others sensed something bigger, an impending fracture. But what Ivan failed to notice was this. Isaac had already changed the rules. Containment wasn't the goal anymore. Exposure was. And the best way to expose a threat was to let it think it was winning. So, Isaac stepped back, skipped council meetings, reduced his presence, ignored notes. To the outside world, he looked weakened. Inside, he was activating a machine. One of the boldest moves fell to Vega, the ex-military man. Using an old tactical systems code, he accessed archived call logs in the administrative library system. What he found flipped everything. External calls traced to a guard terminal, connected to shell companies linked to a former alliance member. Damian Robles. Damian, the man who once mentored Ivan, the man expected to take a leadership role that Isaac ultimately took, until he was exiled for leaking classified data. And now his fingerprints were on secret visits, hidden payments, and offshore contracts, tied directly to the Alliance's laundering networks. The connection was undeniable. Ivan wasn't freelancing. This was retaliation, a coordinated strike orchestrated by Damian himself. Isaac finally had the truth, but weaponizing the truth takes timing and guts. He sent one encrypted message to the outside, through a secure attorney channel. Iron Code 4 activated. Validate identity. DR. That was all they needed. Iron Code 4 triggered a silent internal audit within the Alliance. A purge machine. You couldn't block it, and once it started, it hunted everything. The counterattack was officially underway. Inside San Norberto, Isaac returned to the cafeteria. Quiet. Focused. He sat in his usual seat. Ivan walked up, this time standing, not sitting. Didn't think you'd last this long, he smirked. Isaac lifted his eyes, steady and calm. And you still don't understand, he replied. Smiling first doesn't mean you're the one who wins. Isaac Limon was no longer just the silent man people underestimated on day one. Even with invisible threats and real losses, he had become something else, a symbol. But symbols don't survive on structure alone. He would have to evolve. Because now the war wasn't about control anymore. It was about legitimacy. Ivan's faction, bankrolled by Damian Robles, was gaining traction fast, especially among the young and the newly incarcerated. Guys with no loyalties, loving the idea of a fresh leader. Ivan looked modern, open, a challenger to the old order. Isaac understood. Fear would collapse under pressure. Respect had to be earned. So he shifted the focus. To hearts. To belonging. The first change was in the credit system. Those handwritten favors became formal tokens, stamped, organized, transparent. And the invisible workforce, cooks, janitors, cleaners, were now part of the economy. Giving power to the overlooked created alliances stronger than intimidation ever had. Then came a riskier play. During yard time, Isaac approached two inmates formerly aligned with Damien. No one heard what was said. The talk lasted under 5 minutes. Next day, the two abandoned Ivan's common areas. They moved near the tech wing. A message louder than any threat. Loyalty was shifting back. Meanwhile, outside the walls, Iron Code 4 struck its final blow. Auditors tracked dirty money through 3 offshore accounts tied to public contracts. The evidence shook 2 high-ranking Alliance executives. They cut ties with Damian overnight, quietly, completely. Inside San Norberto, Ivan felt it immediately. 2 days later, he requested a meeting with Isaac. A small room, no guards, no witnesses. "So this is how you play?" he asked, smile tight. "It's not a game," Isaac answered. "It's reconstruction. You think you can keep this standing? Only if people understand there's no room for the past to repeat itself." For the first time, Ivan didn't look confident. He looked calculating, measuring losses. He walked out slowly, never turning his back. He knew his time on top was slipping. Isaac pivoted again. Education. Strange move to some. But he saw the bigger picture. With the right nudges, he pushed through a long-dead literacy and reintegration program. 2 weeks later, a room in Block D became a study center. Books, notebooks, pens, invisible inmates stepping into relevance. Because whoever controls the flow of ideas controls the future. Isaac wasn't building his power on fear like the old rulers. He was building it on discipline, purpose, trust. Angel Barrera? A relic. His name still whispered, but with no weight. Isaac was becoming something rare in that place, a leader with followers, not hostages. But evolution comes with danger. When you build something new, something that threatens decades of brute rule, there will always be those who would rather burn the future than admit the past is gone. The atmosphere inside San Norberto Federal Penitentiary had changed, deeply, permanently. But when a system built on chaos suddenly starts working, tension grows under the surface. Isaac Limon could feel it. No hard evidence, just instinct. Something bigger was coming. Whispers were fading. Silence was swelling. And in prison, silence is a warning. The storm is close. All side stories were converging. Isaac's reading program, his most symbolic project, now included more than 50 inmates from multiple wings. What started as a harmless hobby now resembled a cultural shift. Influential inmates began sending delegates. Everyone was starting to grasp the truth. Isaac wasn't building a faction. He was building a new order. But not everyone wanted to belong. Even Cordero wasn't gone. He still had allies. But now, he kept his distance. He'd tried direct confrontation and failed. So he switched tactics, operating from the shadows, rewriting narratives. Using one guard still loyal enough to listen, Ivan launched a wave of anonymous accusations. Isaac was manipulating inmates, running a parallel government, undermining administration. These complaints made their way to the public security office. Outside, a quiet internal investigation was opened. Inside, Isaac received a coded message. Ivory Protocol activated. The last defensive contingency, the most critical one. From that moment on, Isaac had to step back. No public leadership. No visible influence. The structure had to function without him. It was the final test, and the setup for what came next. Days passed in silence. Isaac skipped yard time, skipped the cafeteria, stayed in his cell. No visitors, no words. And that's when the results appeared. Inmates who once followed his direction began leading themselves. They organized maintenance shifts, adjusted yard rotations, and even resolved a block dispute. No force required. It was the ultimate proof. Isaac didn't create a personal empire. He created a system that could survive without him. That made him far more dangerous than any boss who ruled by fear. Meanwhile, Ivan made one last desperate move. He called a private meeting with 3 neutral block leaders. He offered deals, protection, old smuggling routes. None accepted. Why? They no longer believed Ivan had real backing outside. One of them summed it up perfectly. You still have a voice, but there's no echo anymore. Outside, the investigation wrapped up quietly. Claims dismissed. Not due to lack of evidence, but because the prison's own records showed improvements in violence, discipline, and mental health since Isaac arrived. The warden received a single phone call confirming the verdict. He stays. Don't change a thing. Isaac heard the news, sat still, eyes on the cracked ceiling, then picked up an old notebook and wrote 3 words. Now we begin. Everything was aligned, all alliances marked, all threats exposed, all external eyes watching. San Norberto was no longer just a prison. It had become a prototype, a silent model of a new way to rule. For it to be fully realized, the climax needed to happen, and it was close. The morning that would define San Norberto began like any other. Cloudy sky, chlorine in the hallways, guards' boots echoing down cold corridors. But the walls could feel it. Something was coming. Isaac Limon was walking again. After days off the grid, he appeared in the yard, calm, steady, sat on a bench near the basketball court. No announcement, no show. Within hours, every stare in the prison was back on him. Across the yard, Ivan watched with a hard expression. He knew this was it, his chance for either redemption or erasure. He'd waited, held his cards. And now, with Isaac cleared of investigation, he made his move. During lunch, he walked to Isaac's table, alone. The whole cafeteria froze. You won on paper, Ivan muttered, but we still breathe the same air. That means we're equals. Isaac swallowed his bite, placed his fork down. If you think this is about air, he said calmly, you've missed everything. Ivan leaned closer. Last chance. Walk away. Hand over what you built, keep your name, keep your safety. Isaac held his gaze. I didn't build this for me, he answered, and that's why you'll never take it. That night, the prison moved. 3 wings locked down for routine inspection. Groups were quietly relocated. Federal officers appeared without notice. Only Isaac understood. The endgame had been authorized. It wouldn't be a fight. It would be an erasure. At 10:13 p.m., a tech wing officer delivered a notice to Ivan. Transfer to Ocampo Maximum Security Prison, Sonora. Effective immediately. Ordered by the National Intelligence Center. No signature, no courtroom, no right to appeal. Ivan read it twice. He knew instantly. The board had removed his piece, not by force, by deletion. At 5:02 a.m., agents escorted him out. No cuffs, no words. The silence was the sentence. As he walked the corridor toward the exit, he saw the stairs. He wasn't feared anymore. He was a warning. Outside, at dawn, Isaac walked through the old territory once ruled by Angel Barrera. The walls felt different, less hostile, more aware. A whisper came from a passing inmate. "That's the man who leads without lifting a hand." Isaac didn't react. He didn't need to. Beyond the walls, a confidential report landed in a Justice Ministry office. San Norberto, model implementation, Phase 1 complete. At the end, one name highlighted: Isaac Limon, internal strategic operator. His incarceration? Never random. It was a silent assignment. And now that the mission was stable, the next cycle would begin. A new unit, new faces, but the same blueprint. A different kind of leadership. San Norberto went back to what it had always been. A fortress of concrete, steel, and silence. But anyone who lived through the past months knew nothing would ever truly be the same. Isaac Limon, now a near myth among inmates, never chased glory, rank, or recognition. His routine stayed as simple as day one. Quiet meals, silent walks, notebooks open on his cell table. To an outsider, it looked like nothing had changed. Inside, though, everything had. The education program he started was now officially recognized by the administration as part of rehabilitation. The old favor credit system dissolved, replaced by a self-managed network of cooperative trade among inmates. And the Wing Council, once ruled by fear, became a place for negotiation. No public power plays. San Norberto no longer needed Isaac to stay balanced. He had made himself unnecessary. And that was his greatest victory. Angel Barrera was now just another forgotten entry in old files. Ivan Cordero, transferred out, vanished from the prison radar, and with him, any remaining shadow of the old power struggle. New threats could emerge, sure, but no leader dared ignore the lesson left behind. The strongest form of control is the one that survives without the controller. Outside the walls, the Jade Alliance operated under new rules, calmer, sharper, less exposed. Isaac never asked to return to command. His reports were delivered quietly through encrypted channels. No signature, just one status word: stable. His cell became neutral ground. No one approached without purpose. No guard bothered him. Those who came sought guidance, a name reviewed, a situation analyzed, and he would listen, respond, never command. Isaac had learned the truth. Power isn't telling people what to do. Power is showing how it's done, and stepping away. Life in the prison moved on. But for those who understood the signs, it was obvious. San Norberto was the first piece of something much bigger. And Isaac? He still sat on the same bench in the yard, watching, waiting, knowing that somewhere, the next board was already being set. 2 years later, a new administration took over San Norberto. Records were archived, wings remodeled, many inmates transferred. Isaac Limon? He wasn't one of them. Officially, he died of natural causes in cell 4-12. Quietly, without witnesses, without struggle. No announcement mentioned his past, but those who were there know. His death didn't spark panic. It sparked silence and respect. Because Isaac was never defeated, he ended the game by choice, exactly when he intended to, leaving behind a system that continued to function without him. And that was the ending he had planned all along. If this story held your attention all the way through, it's because deep down we understand. True power doesn't shout, it whispers. Isaac Limon proved that silent control, sharp strategy, and invisible leadership can transform even the darkest places. If you enjoyed this journey, share it with someone who loves intense, unexpected narratives, and tell us in the comments, would you survive San Norberto? Want more stories like this? Subscribe and turn on notifications, because the next board might already be waiting for you.